years ago, I stood right here in this exact same spot. I headed out on that trail and I did my first ever backpacking trip. A lot of things went wrong on that trip, so now, over a decade later, I am back. And this time, I want to do this trail right. My pack is lighter, my gear is better, I have more experience, and perhaps most importantly, this time, I'm doing the trail solo. I don't know about y'all, but I am stoked to see what this is like. Whew, let's freaking go, dog. This is my show, gosh darn. So the trail that I'm on today is the White Oak Canyon Cedar Run Trail. It is an absolutely stunningly beautiful fall day. Super sunny, clear skies. Perfect day for backpacking. Woohoo! Now the gear that I was carrying with me on that very first backpacking trip is very different than what I'm using now. That's not to say that my gear was bad. It's just it was not at all right for me. That first backpacking trip was honestly pretty bad. Already this is better. There's one other really cool thing that I forgot to mention about this video specifically, and that is that I'm finally taking out my Durston X-Mid 2 tent. You'll have been asking me to review this tent, to try it out. Finally got it. I set it up in my mom's front yard yesterday, and today I'm taking it on its very first trip. It's virgin voyage, if you will. Virgin voyage? Yeah.
Maiden?
Maiden voyage. Whoa, big root ball. Do you see the root ball? So far, this trail is starting out a lot flatter and a lot easier than I remember, but I'm pretty sure that it's gonna dip down into the canyon fairly soon here, and then the hike out tomorrow. That's actually gonna be the hardest part. We are going that way. Bridge, bridge, bridge. Woo! Already a great day. Wasn't even paying attention. There's a deer right here. Snuck right up on me. So cool. It is getting warm, so I'm gonna take a layer off. And also pee. Another spectacular bridge. Gosh, I love a bridge. Woohoo! Yay! Ooh, look. Tells you who made it. Continental Custom Bridge Co. I'm gonna call that phone number and tell them they made a good bridge. Well done, Continental Custom Bridge Co. This bridge is a beauty. Another bridge! I'm fairly certain that my trail continues on the other side of the bridge. Just to be sure, I'm gonna consult my map because I don't want to go the wrong way. That little paper map they gave me. We're continuing that direction. Boom, let's do it. Basically, it's gonna get dark at 5 p.m. So I want to try and get to camp as quickly as possible so that I have time to show you my gear, talk about some of the things that are different this time than they were 10 years ago. And there are a lot of differences. And then get to sleep nice and early. Wow! Look at that gorgeous waterfall. It's so long. So this waterfall behind me is the tallest of all of the waterfalls in White Oak Canyon, but I actually have 4 more falls to get to. And after I pass all 4 of those falls, I will start to get to the campsites. I also randomly have cell service, so we're gonna send Rainer and the rest of the crew a wish you were here selfie. Back on trail. So long, gorgeous view. Onward we go. So this hike down is actually quite steep. One of the things that made this so hard when I did this 12 years ago or whatever was that I was wearing shoes that were too small for me. Like I was wearing a pair of really heavy Keen boots in probably like a half size or even a full size too small. And because my toes kept hitting the front of those shoes and my feet were swelling, I just like wrecked my feet. This time I'm doing it with like good shoes. So speaking of shoes, I'm actually hiking, oops, one second, sorry. Oops, oh my gosh, okay, Miranda, pull it together. I'm actually hiking in boots. These are my Adidas Terex free hikers. I brought these instead of my trail runners because I wasn't sure how cold it would be, one, and also there's a number of stream crossings and I wanted something waterproof, not just quick dry because it's so cold. So all of that to say, just wear the right size shoe. Great. The very first pack that I ever had that I took on this backpacking trip 12 years ago was the original Flash pack. It was too small for me and I put 45 pounds of gear in it, so it was way too heavy. So after hiking with that, I kind of like swore off REI packs forever because I was like, this bag sucks. But then I discovered the newer Flash 55, and as you all know, I'm totally in love with this bag. So while a ton of my backpacking gear for this trip is from Garage Grown Gear and is from other cottage ultralight brands, I still am such a Flash 55 diehard. So pretty soon here, I should start to see signage that says I'm allowed to camp like beyond a certain point. The actual corridor where you're allowed to camp along White Oak Canyon is really narrow. And last time I did this hike, my hiking buddy and I didn't realize that, and we actually camped in a place that we were not supposed to camp. So as I'm hiking down, I'm gonna see if I can spot our illegal, inappropriate campsite and point it out to you. My pack feels super light. It is only 30 pounds, which is 15 pounds lighter than it was when I first started backpacking. All right, let's continue this little trek. Pretty! Perfect day to be out hiking. Okay, so the trail is right up there behind me, and I believe this is our final waterfall. Look at how gorgeous it is. If memory serves me correct, right up there, just on this little ridge, is where I set up my tent. Like, where even would I have set up a tent? Right over here is where I cooked. Wow. It was also pouring rain when I did this backpacking trip for my first time so many years ago. And so I was like cooking my meal, like huddled under a rain jacket, just like having a terrible time. Could not have better weather today. Okay, it is 1:30, so I'm saying goodbye to my old and not very good campsite, and I'm gonna continue on my trail and see if I can find a better spot in a place that is actually designated for camping. I'm not like shaming 20-year-old Miranda, but this is not an ideal spot, girlfriend. Goodbye, gorgeous waterfall. I will say that Shenandoah National Park is kind of confusing when it comes to backcountry camping. It's not as like obvious as it is in a lot of places in the Pacific Northwest. It's more of like dispersed camping, which basically means find a place where you're allowed to camp, where people have camped before, and camp there. Oh, I see a sign. No camping beyond this point, meaning that direction where I came from. So that should mean that I can camp somewhere over there. So we've now entered the camping zone, basically. I just need to find a good spot to camp. Voila! The perfect campsite. Totally clear of leaves. No dead trees above. Decently easy access to water. And nobody else around. Okay, great. Let's set up tent. Okay, now this is only the second time that I'm ever setting up this Durston tent. And while I did watch Dan Durston's extremely helpful YouTube video on how to set up the X-Mid 2, it's still kind of complicated. So I'm gonna do the very best I can. Be prepared to either be extremely amazed with me for setting up this tent so well, or more likely, somewhat judgmental. Here we go. Hey there. Woo! Sweet. Tent is pitched. It's not the perfect pitch, but it's pretty dang good. I think that I got all of my stuff into the tent, so now we're gonna go inside together, and I'm gonna get it all kind of set up. I think that if the tent is big enough, you'll be able to see what I'm doing. Okay. I have my quilt here. I'm gonna attach this to my sleeping pad. I actually also packed my sleeping bag liner, the hood, go up there. Special sleep socks. They're just a pair of socks you can change into when you sleep. That's it. So, yeah. Here's a kind of cool thing you probably saw in a recent video. This is the pillow pocket that I made for my Nemo Philo pillow. So I'm gonna pop it onto my sleeping pad. Boom, there we go. Okay, I think that I am all set up. Stella. I brought with me my little sketchbook, which has like some watercolor pencils with it too. And since it's not quite dark yet, and I still have a lot of energy, that'd be kind of fun to do a little bit of drawing, which is definitely not something that I did when I first started backpacking. And I'm not an artist by any means, but it sounds like fun. So we're gonna do it. So I want to try and find some really cool leaves on the ground here that we can sketch. I think I see one. Boom. You're a cool leaf. You're kind of a cool leaf. Ooh, there's that cool one. Boom. 3 cool leaves. Also the name of my jazz band. Okay. Time to draw them. My little cool cloth bag that has my notebook and my pens in it. Tiny watercolor notebook. Watercolor pencils. A little brush. And a pen. Okay, I promise that this will be cool. Just imagine there's like punk rock music playing or something that like keeps you watching me draw. Kind of cool, right? Alrighty, I am gonna filter some water. It's about 4:30 now, so it's gonna be totally dark in like 30 minutes. I brought my Sawyer squeeze filter and my Knock bag. That's gonna make this a much easier process than getting water was on my very first backpacking trip. I was just using those little iodine tabs, which taste really bad. And I probably wasn't drinking nearly enough water. So this is definitely a much easier process. Ta-da! Here we go. 2 liters of water. Back when I first started backpacking, I insisted on hanging my food, but the first ever bear bag that I hung was on this trail at the campsite that I showed you earlier, and I hung the bear bag like 6 feet off the ground, like touching the tree. And I was so stressed about a bear or some sort of animal getting to my food all night that like any little noise, I would wake up and I would poke my head out of the tent, I would unzip the tent, I would like take a deep breath because I was nervous, and I would turn my headlamp on to see if the bear bag was still there. So anyway, I have moved on from that and decreased my anxiety a ton, and now I have my bear canister. So in here I have an RX bar, a Jauge bar, a spare meal, which is my Happy Yak Express Moroccan Feast. Then I have, my Deliciotes overnight oats. This is cherry chocolate. Deliciotes is really, really great, and they just started selling them on Garage Growing Gear's website, so definitely go and check them out. Throco tea, and then of course, my all-time favorite, Element, which is just like an absolute staple on my backpacking trips. I have a cornmeal muffin that my mom made. I have some beef jerky. I have some Jelly Belly Cocktail Classics, another Jauge bar, a miniature piece of naan, and then my dinner for tonight in the very, very bottom, which is this butternut dal bhat from Peak Refuel, one of my all-time favorite backpacking meals. I also have a little bit of extra tea, some more Element, my coffee for tomorrow, and then this my mom also got for me, so thanks, Mom. I decided for dinner I wasn't gonna cook, so I'm just eating a Jauge bar. Yeah, I was not hungry. I have a big sandwich for lunch. That's what we're doing. Alright, cool. Put my bear canister away. I've scoped out a good spot for it. I'll get my tent all cozy looking so you can see what it looks like. See you tomorrow. All right, I am cozy in my tent. I have my string lights hanging up. I have my homemade Nalgene lantern over here. The hike today wound up being way more fun than I remembered this trail being. In a weird way, I kind of had this memory that the hike itself was not that interesting, but in reality, it was just stunningly gorgeous. I'm also really enjoying just like the peace of being at camp alone right now. To get to be out here, to be doing it quote unquote right, like staying in the right campground, having the right stuff, feeling comfortable. It feels really good. It's actually been just the best, most wonderful, easy day. That being said, tomorrow is the hard day. I have to hike back out of the canyon. Today, I just came down the canyon. It was easy breezy, lemon squeezy. Tomorrow, I go all the way back up the canyon. I'm adding on an extra mile of mileage, and I think it's gonna be pretty rough. So I'm like secretly talking to younger Miranda, being like, hey girl, I know that you had a hard time climbing out of this canyon, so like I'm gonna do my best, but I might also have a hard time, like that's okay. So yeah, I wish I could just like go back and say to my 20-year-old self, like, hey, you know, I'm glad you stuck with this because it is gonna be worth it. Like, that first trip is the worst trip and it's gonna be better. And sometimes it's still gonna suck, but it's gonna be worth it. Feeling very nostalgic. All right, cool. With that, I am going to climb into my quilt and head to sleep, and I will see all of you in the morning. Good night. Good morning. Ooh. Ooh, bird is cold. It is just about 6:30 in the morning. We're starting to get some light outside the tent. Cool, let's make some coffee. Rock on. This quilt, my gosh, I don't know if you all are tired of me just raving about this quilt, but it is just the coolest thing. It probably got down to like low 30s, high 20s last night. And with this quilt and the liner, I was warm enough, so that is nice. And I definitely sleep cold. There were some really huge differences between doing this hike now and having done this hike like 10 years ago. Most notably, I know that I am so much more confident and comfortable out here. And like, that's not to say that I am always know exactly what I'm doing, but just feeling this level of like confidence that this is something I know I can tackle. Whereas that first trip, I was just terrified the entire time. I mean, I was so scared. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And that's not to say that I don't still get scared sometimes, but like, what a difference. Okay. Oh, there's a little piece of dirt in here. Whoops. I'm gonna drink my coffee, I'm gonna eat my breakfast, but I'm gonna also start packing up my stuff. All right, coffee. You're gonna help me start my day. Very quick moment of appreciation for my breakfast, which is this amazing overnight oats. It's cherry chocolate. Cherry chocolate. Delish. I think that last night I heard owls. I heard foxes barking. You know foxes bark? They're like, ah, ah, ah. Pretty sure I heard that. Bird. Before I break down the Durston tent, I realized I completely forgot to give you all my first impression of it, which is, I get it. I mean, people love this tent and I understand why. There's some super, super cool things about the Durston. One thing that I love about it is the fact that you like stake out the base of the tent first and then you put the poles in. So you essentially have these like four corners that get staked to the ground, and then you tuck your trekking poles underneath and you lengthen them. And what that means is that if it's raining, you never have any rain like getting into your tent because it's constantly covered by this fly that you lay down first, which I think is really awesome. The little connector here for the vestibule, it's a magnet. You have this tab and that just magnets right there. Such a cool way to hold the vestibule door open. So here's one downside. The stakes that this tent comes with are not very good. I already bent one, RIP. I mean, there's not a ton of interior pockets or space. One pocket here, and then we have one pocket right here. And that's it. Definitely really different than what you have in the, say, the Nemo Dragonfly. Even my Gossamer gear has like bigger pockets. So there's not a lot of like organizational space on the inside of the tent. I feel like I'd have to get used to the parallelogram shape. And like if I was sleeping in here with two people, I think it'd be kind of an interesting way to situate yourselves. I haven't yet decided if I like it better than some of my other tents, but I'm really excited to take it out in inclement weather. Next year when it's warm again, I'm excited to test it out as fly only. I think that'll be a really fun option for like a tarp shelter. Here's the tent stake that I bent. All right, quick moment before we get going. When I first started backpacking, I knew nothing about small brands. I worked at the largest outdoor retailer in the country, and I barely knew anything about the gear that they carried because I just started working there and just kind of started getting into hiking and backpacking. My backpacking kit has changed more this year than it had in the 10 years of me working at REI. And that's honestly all thanks to garage grown gear. Things like my quilt, like this sit pad that I'm using right now, like my water filter, my water bottles, the way in which I pack my bag and my pack liner, all of that stuff is all thanks to garage grown gear. This has been such an awesome year for me to get to learn more about small brands and really get a chance to customize my pack and get my backpacking kit to a place where I feel like I have everything that I want and everything that I need while still being super comfortable on trail. Massive thank you to Garage Grown Gear for helping out and sponsoring this video, but I'll put a link in the description to my lighter pack for everything that is in this pack right now, so you can take a look at all of it and then go shop that stuff on Garage Grown Gear if you think it might work for you. We have a big day today, somewhere between 6.5 and 7 miles. 100% of it is uphill, so I am going to get my pack on and let's see if we can knock out the end of this trail with a bang. Goodbye, beautiful campsite. Onward we go. Oh my gosh, y'all. There's a bridge. What a perfect way to start this day. Wowzers. Oh, beautiful bridge. Onward. Woo. All right, we are officially on the trail. The sun is peeking out finally. So I have about 3 steep miles until I reach Skyline Drive. And at that point, the trail splits. There's an option to take the fire road back to the main trail, which is shorter, or there's this section on the Appalachian Trail. Now, when I did this hike 12 years ago, my hiking partner and I took the fire road back because they were just like really done and didn't want to do any more hiking. By this time, I really want to take the section of the AT back. I just think it'll be so much more beautiful. Like, I think when I did that hike 12 years ago, I was really sad to kind of finish the trail along a fire road. So this time, I'll get to finish it along something beautiful. All right, getting steep already. Let's go. Boo. No. So we have gained around 500 feet of elevation already, but I still have like 1,500 feet to go. So it's quite a climb out of here. I was realizing that when I did this hike 12 years ago, I was only 19 or 20. And I was just thinking, like, if you had told 19-year-old Miranda that hiking was going to become not only something I'm super passionate about, but also my job, I don't think I would have believed you, 1. And 2, I also wonder if that would have really colored my first experience. If I would have been like, felt any kind of pressure to enjoy it more than I did. I think because I went into backpacking for the first time being like, well, if I hate this, it's okay, I never have to go again. In some weird way, that meant that when I did have a bad trip, I then was like very excited to try it again and see if I could make it more fun. So cool. Cool to think about. Whew, okay, this is deep. Hard. 20-year-old Miranda, you did good, girl. This is not easy. We are coming up on an intersection on the trail. I've actually been waiting for this moment all day today. Whew. Here we are. That is where we just came from. That is the shortcut that my hiking buddy and I took 12 years ago. And this is where we are headed today. Woo! We are now on the AT. Whew. Oh, look at this view. Oh my gosh. So this is the Shenandoah Valley below me. And off in the distance there, that is Hawksbill, which is the highest peak in all of Shenandoah National Park. This is so gorgeous and so different than what I was seeing yesterday. It's amazing. Okay, I have 1 more mile until we get back to the trailhead. So I'm going to get back on my trail and finish out this hike the right way. There's my car. Oh my gosh. We made it back. There is the Whiteout Canyon Trail sign behind me. My car over there. And just like that, I have recreated and done far better my first ever backpacking trip. If you have your own first ever backpacking story, I would love to hear it in the comments below. And if you liked this video, hit the like button, and I would love it if you subscribed to my channel. This pack might be 15 pounds lighter than it was 12 years ago, but it's still pretty heavy. So I'm gonna ditch it in my car, and I will see you all outside. Bye. Done. So many cars, so many people, and I feel awkward when there's lots of people. I do not like filming when there's lots of people. Okie dokie on the Great.